simple question here on trade deadline day. Who's going to make a move in order to improve their standing to win a championship right now? Because that's what trade deadline is. Those who are selling are essentially saying, you know what, don't know if this is our year, but we need to start gathering picks and creating salary cap space for next year so we can win significantly for the next year. That's what they're, that's what the sellers are doing. And the buyers are like, hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to try and win now. The Leonard Williams trade yesterday by the Seattle Seahawks. We were live on the air talking about the Seahawks with one of our listeners, bringing up the Seahawks defense and how good they are. In the middle of that conversation, we found out that John Schneider, the general manager, terrific general manager of the Seahawks, flipped a second-round pick to the New York Giants. I think it was a 2 and a 5 to the Giants, right, for Leonard Williams. And it's just like, way to go. That's not one of those that's going to be just bright, shining lights all over it, because it's not a fantasy type trade, and it's not a trade that's going to maybe help fantasy teams unless you have the Seahawks defense. It's one of those trades where it's kind of under the radar because Seattle's doing it, and two, it's a defensive tackle, but he's terrific and exactly what the Seahawks need and can use, and they got him. Well done. It was great. That's the type of trade that happens, right? So, simple question. What the hell is the Chicago Bears doing?
Kind of an evergreen question of the last year or so.
We had Daniel Jeremiah on yesterday's show. He had just called locally here for the Chargers radio network, Chargers versus Bears on Sunday Night Football. He said the Bears are so bad, roster-wise, that they're 10 players away from being 10 players away. That's how he said it. So I guess it makes sense if you're getting players, significant players in, and the Chicago Bears just did that. They flipped a second-round choice to the Washington Commanders for Montez Sweat.
Wow.
Who is outstanding.
Yeah,
heavily coveted.
He is in a walk year, so I guess they're going to have to basically say to him, maybe they did also connect with him if they had the ability to connect with him and say, would you be willing to stay here long-term? Chicago's money, the McCaskey money, still works as well as any other money that's doled out in checks by NFL ownership to players. But, and also, I guess the Commanders, they figure we've got players to just flip. So, less for the dust-up to come in the direction of anybody playing the Washington Commanders. For this week, it's the New England Patriots. I'm sure Belichick's like, okay, we don't have to plan for Montez Sweat. Let's go back into that drawing room.
Cool.
Okay, Bill O'Brien. Hey, Bill, guess who's not playing against us this week? His name's Montez Sweat. And O'Brien's like, okay.
What was O'Brien like?
Okay.
Okay.
Nice. Well done. Little Jon Snow. Oh, gosh. Is this going to happen all 3 hours?
I won't, because I don't want to annoy you, but I'll try not to. I wanted that. Yeah.
I guess. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking the Bears and Ryan Poles are thinking, is that next year's draft, they're sitting there on the clock.
Number 2, number 3.
Second round choice, Montez Sweat is not available. that you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
that they're not choosing somebody in the second round like Montez Sweat. They're also not going to pay somebody that they choose in the second round like Montez Sweat. But you can get Montez Sweat now for a second rounder. You go ahead and get him now. You get him in your system. You get him up to speed, so you hit the ground running in 2024 significantly. But if you're Montez Sweat, you're going from, Washington, which is in the mix for a playoff spot, to a team that's essentially not. And that's not great when you're trying to win championships or put a ring on your finger. So the Bears take a risk here at this point in time. As we're talking, you trade draft capital in next year's draft for a player that may not be around next year. Could just say, see you later. And then your second round pick reverts to a third for a compensation pick, a compensatory pick. So you're giving up a 2 for a 3 to have Montez Sweat come and be in your building so you can convince him that the amount of money you're willing to pay him is worth him staying. And at the meantime, you put it all together, and if you're paying him, you're going to be paying him a ton of money. Why wouldn't you pay Roquan Smith when you had him? That's honestly.
Superstar middle linebacker.
Oh, my God.
You're the Chicago Bears.
Who, by the way, right, you're the Chicago Bears, and you trade him to another organization that covets that position based on its history and scheme. The Ravens are like, sure, we'll take him. So that's the whole thing. Is like, so you're willing to pay Sweat maybe double what you're paying Smith. I guess you value that position more than you would Roquan. It's just, it's confusing. It's confusing to me, and but so, and if there's anybody out there who could have used Sweat, what you're coveting that second round pick? I don't get it. It's a crapshoot. These kids are all a crapshoot, and I know that's promise, and you reset the clock and helps with the salary cap to have these kids, and if you hit on a second round pick who can start winning for you on the spot, that's a win. I get it, but but you can have Montez Sweat now and maybe win a championship now because you have him. Same thing with Leonard Williams. How about that? So that's the position that's going fast right here. Defensive line. Sack the quarterback. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.